All right. What's up, everybody? Coach Ben podcast here at Muscle Farm HQ. I'm here with Jim Lawson from Jiu-Jitsu Magazine. What's up, Jim?
Oh, good afternoon, Ben. Glad to be here. This is I think for speaking in the times that we're going through right now, is a very important episode to just kind of address this. I think it's official now to call it a pandemic, right, Coach?
Yeah, it's official.
It's okay. So we're here to talk about the coronavirus. And Ben, you've been keeping up on this whole thing, and as is your normal protocol, you like to look into these things. So tell us, what have you found out about this?
Well, first of all, I keep up with this. I kept up with this because I'm a small business owner, and I'm also, I have family that are elderly. So, and plus it's, who's talking about anything else right now, right? This is all anybody talks about at this moment. So yeah, coronavirus or COVID-19, which if you break down those letters, it just means coronavirus disease 2019, because it did start, I believe, in 2019. And so basically in this podcast episode, Jim, I want to make sure everybody knows that me and you are not like experts on infectious disease or doctors. We're just expressing our opinions. And, I want to really just talk about how you should have a balanced perspective on this issue. I know that right now there's like panic on one end, and then there is like bury your head in the sand on the other end. I think both are kind of not necessarily good things for humanity. On one end, panic will crash the economy. I have a small business. Many of my friends who own businesses, people that play in the stock market, they're not having a good time right now. This is definitely not helped by creating additional panic. And then on the other end, there are people out there who are just kind of crazy, and they want to just say it doesn't exist. I'm going to book my trip to Wuhan tomorrow, or to Japan, or to Korea. I mean, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, but what I am here to do is try to help people critically think at a moment like this. And so, yeah, I'm going to probably come across as having like conflicting viewpoints, right? So I think one of the hallmarks of, an ability to critically think is to be able to hold two conflicting viewpoints, and then be able to kind of like hash them out or use them when it is appropriate, right? So first of all, Jim, what do you think about this whole thing? What is your opinion? Do you believe that it is more it's a bigger deal than it is, or do you think it's just right? Do you think it's what do you think?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question, and there are some people who are directly affected by this. Maybe their relative, their uncle, excuse me, has it. So I'd never want to downplay the whole idea. If I ever say it's never a big deal, it's like, well, it is a big deal to the people directly affected. But on the bigger note, I think it becomes a bigger deal than it needs to be when there's that human element of panic.
Right.
And when people just kind of toss out logic and become illogical in their approach to this thing. Now, this thing it's a very serious virus, from what I understand.
Right. I want to add one more term before you go on to, Jim, is it goes along with panic. It's impracticality. There's also a lot of people who are recommending, everybody just stay at home and work from home. It's not practical, and it's not right for people to make those recommendations. And, I'm not bashing the guy, but a guy like Sam Harris, he should not be telling people what to do. I'm not going to tell people what to do. He's not in a position to tell people what to do. He should tell people the facts and then let them make an informed choice, and that's something that I hope to do by the end of this podcast, is to let people know what mostly objective facts are and my recommendations on them, and then you make your choice. So anyway, continue, Jim.
I think that's fair enough. And at the end of the day, especially considering what you made your proclamation at the top, we're no experts. So really, at the end of the day, all this is, and someone like Sam Harris, who's a respectable intellect, depending on who you ask, especially, but I respect him. And these are just our opinions.
Right.
These are our opinions. So
Yeah, well, we're not prescribing anything. We're not telling you what to do. But let's just start real quick with why this is important to like the jiu-jitsu community and to humans in general is, well, the immediate impact in jiu-jitsu is that, well, the Pan Championship is canceled.
really big.
Yeah. I mean, I was at a jiu-jitsu tournament last week, Jiu-Jitsu World League, and it went off without a hitch. People were a little bit, like, oh, I'm in a crowded space. But as far as I know, there's been no, infection, there, and it went off. So many other canceled events. South by Southwest, Arnold Classic, the NBA has shut down their games, Abu Dhabi World Pro. We just learned that Disneyland closed down. And then there's a whole list on the IBJJF that has, I'm looking at the list right now, and it is like everything's canceled.
Yeah, Europeans canceled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the spring open. There's a bunch of these I've never even seen before. But either way, all the registrations are closed, meaning you cannot register anymore, and they will probably be canceling a lot more events, not just jiu-jitsu events, but just events in general. Anything that has a public gathering, say of like 250 people, I think. I'm not sure about this, but in California, I think they've outlawed it. So you can't have a gathering of like over 250 people. Again, fact check me on that. I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, that's it. Canceled events. So I'm gonna get to like my opinions on the thing, and then again, we will make an informed decision together, or not, or separately after this. But let's just start at the beginning, and like you said in the start of the podcast, I did do a lot of research on this. Talked to a lot of experts, talked to infectious disease experts, doctors, and it is the coronavirus. COVID-19 is definitely a new disease. It's not seen in humans before. It likely came from bats, likely a large seafood and live animal market in Wuhan, China, Wuhan City, China, which is my people. So I'll get to that later, but yes, I do take responsibility for my people. I think there are many things wrong with China, and this is just the beginning, So anyway, it spread like wildfire in that area, in that Hubei province. Italy is on lockdown.
Country, yeah.
The whole country's on lockdown, basically. And there are reasons, I think, that have been kind of agreed upon that why Italy was hit as a whole country is because they're generally an older population. They smoke. Everybody in Italy smokes, apparently. And you can't be greeting people with kisses on the cheek, and expect not to get this thing, right? That's like literally you just spread it right then and there, giving people hugs and kisses, right? So that's the reason there's so many deaths in Italy, is what people are suspecting. And like I said, it's for the most part it's a virus that jumped into a human that came from an animal sometime in November, which is why it's COVID-19, November 2019. Now, there's no evidence. I know there's people online that say it's like a bioweapon, something like that. No evidence that it was a bioweapon made in the Wuhan lab or by the Chinese government. But there is evidence, not evidence, I would say there's speculation or rumors that it could have been a bioweapon or a animal that was tested on in the Wuhan lab that either escaped, or the likely scenario would be the researcher sold the animal to the live animal market for profit, and then that animal jived with all these other live animals and were slaughtered together. And that's really how viruses get created. There's probably hundreds of viruses that come out of something like that, but a lot of them are just innocuous to humans. But then the one that gets through and does affect us, affects us pretty badly. So was it a bioweapon? Probably not. Was it from a bat in China? Probably yes. So that's kind of where we are with the where did it come from, and what it is, right? So like I said, responsibility is a big deal to me. I think taking accountability for things is important, and this is China's fault. I got a lot of things to say about that, actually. I'm Chinese. I was born in China, and it's their fault. They deserve no pass. This is basically a weapon of mass destruction. It's like yeah, it is. It's like, think about if, the thousands of people that have died, right? If China dropped a bomb on somebody and thousands of people died, what would be the response, right? You gotta pay for this. So this is obviously indirect. It's not the same thing, but if I was the Chinese government, I would come out and take responsibility for this and deal with it.
I do have a curious question, though. Is we call it the coronavirus. They call it corona because it has a crown, and that's a Spanish word for crown.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So my curious question is, if its origins have been traced back to China, why give it a Spanish name?
I have no idea. I don't know who named it. I'm not sure about that.
I have some Eddie Bravo conspiracy theories on that, which I won't get into.
Okay,
but
well,
it's curious.
We'll get into conspiracy theories at the very end.
On Eddie Bravo's podcast. I don't even want to talk about it.
You've talked to him on his podcast?
No.
Okay, he is. Okay, yeah. You don't go there until the very end.
Yeah.
Until we've lost our minds. Let's stay with the sane talk.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So how do we go about, or what's your take?
Let me finish with China real quick, and then we're going to get to the reaction and then the risks and whatnot.
Perfect.
So why did it come from China? Well, one of my other gripes with China is that the population density is insane. Have you ever been to China, Jim?
Negative.
Coming from somebody who has a house there and used to live there and have relatives there, I'm just going to outright say this. You're not missing much. Okay, it's not the most sanitary place. Population density is out of control. It's no surprise that a virus like this came from China. So was it intentional? Most likely not. It wasn't intentional. I know one thing about Chinese people in China is that they're not going to mess with their own economy. And the one thing that this coronavirus has done is it's destroyed not just China's economy, but the world economy, but mostly China's economy. So, yeah, if anybody doesn't want this to happen, it's China. So, yeah. So that's it. The responsibility, I think, goes to that. And so now the responsibility is on the world to contain this thing. So yeah, again, we've talked about what it is. Let's talk about the reactions, right? So
perfect.
Oh, actually, you know what? Sorry. Let's talk about the risks first, and then we'll talk about the reaction.
Okay.
So the risks, it's a respiratory virus. So if you have a pre-existing respiratory, especially lung issues, right? If you're older, you're at a greater risk. We talked about earlier, people staying at home and working from home and impractical things. It no longer impractical. It's a must now. If you are older and you have pre-existing comorbidities, especially dealing with the respiratory system. Okay, how you get it? Okay, it's not as easy to get as people think. It's not airborne. It's
not.
No, it's not. It's not airborne as in if I breathe on you, there has to be particles involved. Like I have to sneeze or cough on you. At least this is my understanding from talking to a infectious disease expert. I have to sneeze and cough on you, or sneeze and cough on a surface, and you kind of touch the surface. Then you also have to get it into your system, right? So you have to touch your eyes or touch your face, right? So one of the biggest things is don't touch your face. Use Clorox wipes and anything that can household cleaning supplies usually are okay, as long as they have kind of like a bleach or something like that kills the virus. I just touch my face. Don't touch your face.
I'm horrible, man. I have a bad eye rubbing habit.
I just read online. I don't know if this is true, but we touch our face like 50 to 100 times a day or something like that. So yeah, I mean, so how you get it is, again, people coughing, people sneezing, touching surfaces, and this is a virus that's I know a lot of people online compare it to the flu, right? And when it comes to death rates and things like that, yes, it is similar, right? But I would say it's more dangerous than the flu, based on what research that I've done, because a certain subset of the population is at a greater risk, like the people I just described, older people with respiratory issues, and it's got a higher fatality rate than the flu, right? So the one positive, though, is that it doesn't seem to affect children as much as adults. And there's a couple theories about that. Just touch my face again. It's that the immune response is slightly different with children. So kids, they play in the dirt. They get viruses all the time. They tend to be more exposed to viruses, and that's a theory that they don't get it. And also, usually children they don't have respiratory illness. They're likely not smokers. So that's kind of the risks, right? Or sorry, the risks,
Mm-hmm.
the risks of what it is and what it is, right? So now the reaction, right? What is the reaction that you've seen, Jim? And do you agree with the current reaction? How people are responding to this thing?
Here we go. Here's
go.
this is gonna buckle up, because this is a tricky ride, because I think the way the general public is taking it, or how I believe they're taking it, is out of proportion to what the actual threat is right now.
Okay.
And now, on the professional side, the people on the front line, the researchers, and the people who kind of disseminate the message here, I think they're doing a really, my opinion, and it may be in conflict with a lot of other people for various reasons, understandable reasons, is I think they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job because the fact is that there is not much known about this, what I believe what they're calling it, a novel infection right now.
It's
still
new
in
to
the
humans.
novel, right?
Yeah, they've never seen it before.
So, so I think what they're doing is like, it's typical troubleshooting. If there's something wrong, think about this, like on a physical level of training or something. You tweak an ankle, so you think it hurts, but you're not quite sure. One of those, did I just hurt myself? So what's the first thing you do? You stop. And then you just kind of assess, like, what's going on. Something doesn't feel right? So you stop, and you're not going to continue to use that, that affected area until you assess and get a better understanding of what's going on. So what these frontline professionals are doing, I think it's such a massive effort that's been going on. Everything's on shutdown, and I think that is a fair reaction on their end. But where I disagree with how the general public is taking it, they take this, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
Yeah,
and
buying toilet paper.
Yeah, like for instance, so here's the thing, real life. I'm at a regular rotation in my household. I need paper towels right now, just because I'm running out. Period. And
Good luck.
just like and toilet paper.
We got them at Muscle Farm. You can just get you some.
Right, but the point is, it's like you're people that are clearing out stock and bomb sheltering up, it's too early for all that. Are they wrong? Who am I to say that they are wrong? Because what if that thing does? But we don't know. But it's that panic that creates this pandemonium that goes on, that disrupts life. It's like, man, I just want paper towels.
They're definitely too early for that. But
it's too early.
There's people that will say that they're actually too late, as in before this thing even happened, you should have already had that if you're going to think like this.
Right, and 6 months down the way, they could be right.
Yeah.
They could be right.
But they would also still be late, because there's people out there with full bomb shelters that probably were right 20 years ago.
Late to the party, exactly,
Yeah,
or since the 80s, yeah.
So anyway, I was just given an opinion there on your, but yeah, I agree. The panic. This is what I can't stand with certain people who have big audiences, is that why give a panic message to the general public, right? Like, why write articles and publish these things that create panic
to incite, right?
To incite, and then you add politics to it. You're adding, saying that the people on the right are super denying it and just trying to be macho. No. Look, just forget about this, okay? It's a nonpartisan issue. It has nothing to do with politics. I just don't understand the point of. So now we can get to our reaction. I just don't understand the point of creating the human response of panic, because honestly, more terrifying to me than the coronavirus is humans.
Bingo.
I'm more terrified. I am more about fortifying, getting self-defense for me and my family, getting food items and things like that, water, which I already have actually, so I'm not really getting it. But I'm more concerned about that because I've lived in states like Florida and places where there's hurricanes. I know how humans get when there's like the looming disaster. I don't think California people or Southern California people have dealt with this before, and that's why I want to give the message of let's just assess the situation. Let's make sure we wash our hands, we wipe everything down, we don't go to public gatherings that we don't absolutely need to. But that doesn't mean that if you're risk adverse and you like taking risks, I'm not telling you not to go to work. Go to work. Go to Universal Studios.
Can't go to Disneyland anymore.
You can't go to Disneyland no more. But again, it may or may not be as bad as the news or the articles or people are saying it is. But again, so this is where I hold two conflicting viewpoints, right? I don't want to create panic, and I think panic is bad. But at the same time, I see this as kind of like a precursor to something that could be bigger. And if this is the response to something that is, I would say is not as big of a deal as, say, if millions of people were to die, a day, right? So we're in for a bad. If we don't prepare after this one for the next one, then that's a problem too. That because if people are basically destroying the shelves, buying toilet paper and creating all this panic, what if the real thing happens? Because this ain't the real thing yet. We don't even have any cases in this area anyway. I think there was like one case in Pasadena, and the person's quarantined. So in this Los Angeles area, I believe there was a couple of cases in the Orange County area. But again, like I think the term dress rehearsal for the real thing was good. I heard that used online. And again, this is like a perfect virus to spread, right? It's not like deadly. Like if I had it, maybe I had it, who knows? I won't die, and it's very mild, so I might not even have known I had it. It's easy to spread. So this is, again, it's one of these viruses that are like, it's like a perfect storm to spread. What if there was something that was more contagious than this, right? There could be.
Yeah, and to that point, I've heard it mentioned. I think that's a fair point. That, man, there might be a lot of us, like you just stated, that you may have it and you don't even know because at least it's on the mild side of what these things are, and chances are it could be a reasonable belief that a lot of people have it. Ton of people have it, but we've never tested for it before,
right,
and it's been dormant.
Right.
Because I believe cancer works in a very similar way. Everyone has some sort of cancer cell.
I was coughing my ass off in November. Could have been the flu. Could have been this.
Yeah.
Could have been whatever.
But we weren't testing for it back then.
I didn't even know this was a thing. But by late December, I think early January, I was good. I didn't have any. I'm good. And I'm actually the type of person that people scared of disease should be afraid of, because I'm the type of person where I don't miss work. If I'm sick, you'll never know I'm sick because I'll eat enough caffeine pills that you won't even. I'll just function normally.
Man, true that. You are caffeine fiend.
I'm caffeine king over here. So
you got that
anyway.
Right.
So what can you do, right? So what can you do? Let's get to what can you do, right? There is no vaccine. There are no approved medications currently. So right now, there's nothing on that side that you can do, right? Again, I don't want to give people any impractical things like you must work at home, you should stay at home, and you should avoid all social gatherings. I think it's irresponsible for me to say that. It's self-righteous. It's not my choice to make. You do what you want to do. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue running my business until it's time to shut the doors, and if it gets worse or anything like that. If there's a case of somebody at my academy, jiu-jitsu academy, having it, then yeah, I'm closing. I'm closing for 2 weeks minimum. That's the incubation period, right? Again, don't tell me what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. But at the same time, you can't be stupid, right? And this is, again, a conflicting viewpoint, right? You can't be stupid and say, well, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. I'm immune. I'm young and I'm healthy, and everybody else is a peasant. I'm not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You probably are going to get it thinking like that, And I also want to really emphasize that the reason I don't want to create any kind of panic is because it's terrible for the economy, man. It's very bad. There's certain businesses that'll never bounce back from this. VR centers, restaurants, cafes, malls. I mean, I don't even want to know what the mall looks like.
Oh, they're empty.
Yeah, it's empty. Who's going to the mall right now, right? So this all depends on how much risk you want to take, right? You as the listener, the individual, there's a preference, right? I've heard these terms being thrown around. I hate buzzwords, but let's just use some of them. The terms like social distancing, how important are they to you? How important is jiu-jitsu class? Is it important to you where you want to take a risk and train? And do you trust the people that you train with? I do. I trust my students. I trust my staff. I'm going to be in class teaching, and I'm going to be rolling. And if somebody coughs on me, I'm going to pull out my thermometer. And if you have a fever, you're going home. And I'm heading right for the urgent care. So anyway, social distancing is basically the buzzword used right now. Don't go to any social events. Do you know how much economic damage that's going to cause? My business already has not had any signups for the last month, right? So that's already causing me some issues, right? I have bills that I need to pay. My landlord has bills he has to pay. He's not going to feel sorry for me if I can't come up with the rent, or if, whatever, So again, we already recommended this, but I'm going to do it again. If you're old and you have respiratory issues, this may not be the time to take extra risk, right? But if you're a young, healthy person and you're washing your hands regularly, don't touch your face, Jim, and you don't touch your face, then, I can't tell you what to do. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to continue washing my hands, trying not to touch my face, and I'm going to go about my day with a little extra precaution. I'm going to wipe things down. I'm not going to fly on airplanes right now. I'm not going to purposely go to gatherings I don't need to go to. But, hey, if there's a gathering that I really wanted to go to, I'm going to go. I'm going to go.
Man, talk about industries taking a hit. How about the airlines and the cruise industries?
Oh, yeah. I'm watching. So one of my clients watches the stock market channel every morning, and I'm just watching that thing with them, just like
tank.
Ooh, not looking good.
Okay, yeah. So going back to the reactions and their approach to things. So if people must make it to their jiu-jitsu class because they're motivated, they're driven to become the best jiu-jitsu practitioners, what are some best practices?
So first of all, for sure, you shouldn't have any of the symptoms of the coronavirus, like shortness of breath, like chills, basically flu-like symptoms, fever. If you have that, I would say it is your responsibility at this point to stay away from people. What are you doing?
So honest assessment, self-evaluation.
Right. Now, if you're healthy, this is, again, I only know my situation, right? I know my students. I know my academy. It took me a long time to build my academy to the way it is, the culture that it is. I trust my students. I have a student. I'll just be transparent on the air now, and my students know this. One of my students had a little bit of a cold, scratchy throat. Messaged me on Facebook the other day, said he's not coming to class for the next 2 weeks. I said, I got it, no big deal. And yeah, that's you want to hope that your training partners have that level of accountability and that amount of care for you, that they wouldn't make the selfish decision of prioritizing their training over your health, or their health over your health. I don't know, whatever. You want to make sure that your academy has proper, cleaning, right? Clorox wipes on everything. I use Ken Clean, which is the brand, matte cleaning brand. They have a lot of products that are good for killing, viruses and germs, fungus, things like that. KenClean, not a sponsor of the podcast. I've been using them for years. They don't even have discount codes. So KenClean, hit me up. Anyway, so KenClean is the product that I use. I really like them. And then obviously just like Clorox wipes, it's most antibacterial stuff also has some virus fighting things in it. So bleach, certain things that have a little bit of bleach in them will help. Will basically just kill the virus outright. So again, I want to just also talk about, the reaction, right? So I do have clients that have companies who have, you ever heard of disaster locations, Jim?
Negative.
No. So certain companies that are, high value, they have disaster locations where they send their workforce in the event of a disaster like this. So a lot of my clients, they're sending their employees to like these locations, like in like Cyprus and like in like Venice and stuff, where they've already set up offices that their workers can work from. So it's a good idea, right? So if you can work from home and you needed that vacation anyway, this might be a good time to do it, right? I'm not telling you to do it. You don't need to do it if you don't want to, but this might be a good time to spend more time at home. Why not? It's not a negative. I'm not trying to fear monger or anything. It's just might be a good time. Personally, I have a student who, is very important to me, and she, we wrestle at a community college every Tuesday and Thursday, and we also go to 10th Planet HQ Tuesday and Thursday, or she does. And I've told her we're going to stop going to HQ, 10th Planet, and we're going to stop going to the community college for now to wrestle because we just don't know. We don't know everybody there, right? I think 10th Planet HQ is very safe. If you train there, I would be fine training there. It's just that we don't know, right? There's a lot of visitors there, a lot of out of towners there. I don't know anybody there. I'm not personal friends with Eddie Bravo. We don't have that communication. But the other places that she and I train, like 10th Planet Pasadena, I know the owners very well. We're good friends, and I trust them. I trust my academy. Obviously, I trust Muscle Farm. I tell the employees here at Muscle Farm how to clean the equipment, how to sanitize everything, and so I trust people here. And maybe now's the time to tighten up and go to the places that you trust, stick to the people that you trust, and that's never a bad thing anyway, right? So the other thing this virus has made me think of is my choices in my career, right? So as a small business owner and a jiu-jitsu person that's just all about contact, I'm kind of in a luxury.
It's like,
market.
what have I done?
Yeah, like well, my clientele, my business is really like it's like a luxury, right? People that do personal training that can afford strength and conditioning, jiu-jitsu. These are people that are usually middle class and above, right? So anyway, when there's any disasters, what gets cut first? Luxuries like this. So anyway, doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It's all good. This thing will pass, hopefully. There will probably be another one. Hopefully it's not worse than this. Maybe it is. Okay, so with that said, the outlook, right? This is the last thing, the outlook. And then you can also talk about your conspiracies, Jim, because I have a couple too. We do know that there's no vaccine coming for about 18 months, is what most of the infectious disease experts have told me. And then the spectrum of like conspiracy to hoax, that's like where I kind of want to end this is you don't want to be on either end of it, right? You don't want to be on the end that's saying that this whole thing's a hoax, right? You got to be completely stupid to say that the whole thing's a hoax, right? Show me any evidence. But you also don't want to be on the end of the spectrum, on the other end, saying that it's it's the end of the world and the zombies are coming, and I have like people online that are telling me that China is not reporting the actual deaths, and the deaths are 20 to 50 times worse. I mean, maybe, but show me the evidence for that, and don't just say, well, there's no evidence, but China has some weird thing that they're going to benefit by not releasing the results or the deaths. You can't. This is weird stuff that's going into conspiracies, and there's no evidence, right? So is that kind of like what you were getting at earlier, Jim?
No, yeah. I mean, it was really just a silly comment, but it talks to that right there, that exact point. It's like, listen, you want to be just practical.
You don't want to overreact, but you don't also want to bury your head in the sand.
Right. You don't want to be the one in your community wiping your butt with your hand because you failed to plan properly because of this whole thing. But at the same time, you don't want to just buy up the bomb shelter and just kind of leave the rest of your community ass out. You fend for yourselves. That's the kind of thinking.
I think the most irresponsible thing to do is to tell large audiences that they should do one thing. They should absolutely keep their kids at home, put their old people into the room and lock them in, work from home. And it's just, it's impractical. People have lives, and this is bad. But
and at the same time, I would add, if you're one of those, if you come from a line of doomsday preppers that are, old school leftovers from the 80s Cold War when they legitimately have their basements converted into bomb shelters, listen, if you're already prepared for it, by all means, man, cash in on that investment, But yeah, to your point, it's like, if it's practical for you, then do it. If it's impractical to do all this stuff, then yeah, come on, man.
Right, I just mentioned like the kind of the panic side, right? Like
absolutely.
It's very irresponsible to panic and then tell all your neighbors to panic, tank the whole community's economy, But then it's also almost worse, at least as bad, to just say, I'm immune. It only affects old people. I'm going to go out there naked.
Just as bad, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Universal Studios naked and just do whatever I want.
Show the world.
No, that's the person who's for sure going to get it and spread it too.
Right.
That's the person that's going to get it and spread it to me. So I don't want any of those two people around me. And those are the two people that are somehow online. It's one or the other. Sam Harris is the panic guy, and then I got friends that are on the, I guess you could call it the alt-right, that are like conspiracy guys. They're like, oh, this is the end. We're here we go. The lizards are coming, and
Yeah, and it's almost, in a way, when you take those two extremes, it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's almost like, man, you know what? You're going to create your own truth here. I guess. I don't know. Probably not. Who knows? But I think a lot of times that does happen, is things will become apocalyptic if you keep behaving apocalyptic.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yep.
So that's really all I had to say about my little 2 cents, for all it's worth.
Yeah. So again, the take-home message, I feel that, I just hope that it helps people, is don't panic, but at the same time, don't pretend it's nothing. And also, I guess, panic and then think it's nothing are two ends. And then there's the conspiracy theory, which kind of doesn't fit anywhere. It just goes.
It's just wacky.
It's just whatever, right? So
shelf them with the flat Earth.
Yeah, don't even forget about it. If you think that people are out there trying to hide information and take over the world because of this, or
they're not that good. They're not that good.
Yeah, there's better ways to do it. I think. So anyway, that's it. Coronavirus.
Wait, one more thing, Ben. I do want your opinion.
Yep.
I want your opinion on the excessive use of these said antibacterials and hand sanitizers, so on and so forth. Because I do have a take on that. I think, of course, washing your hands is great, but I think there's an excessive amount. So if you're hand sanitizing all the time, I think one of the reasonable approaches is to build up your own immune system.
Right.
Eat right, cut down on sugar, that kind of stuff. You want to be your optimal self, your immune system. You want that peaking, and the more you keep hand sanitizer, you're killing.
Right. You don't want to be OCD. This is probably not the time to try to build immunity. I think this is probably the time where it's probably best to wipe everything down and wash your hands and stuff. But in times where this virus isn't around, then maybe you roll around in the dirt once a month or something. If your kids whatever. So Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's good to excessively do things like hand wash and take like 14 showers a day. I don't think that's good. But I would say that in this time, in this current climate, it may be better to err on that side than not. But during normal times, I agree with you.
Roger that. All right, Coach Ben, anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Well, there it is. And then I do want to make a note, and it's something we talked about very recently, that we have not really, we actually recorded these some time ago, but we haven't released them yet. But people, wash your belt. Spoiler alert. Wash your belt, wash your gi, all that stuff.
Yeah, your belt probably has coronavirus.
Yeah, so
wash it.
Wash that jam right now. So we will be, I mean, it just so happens the times are what they are. We will release that soon. So keep on the lookout for that. Coach Ben, thank you once again for your insight and all the effort you put into kind of better understanding this situation and giving it to, the audience. And anyone want to follow Coach Ben or speak to him personally, man, hit him up on Instagram at Coach BZ. That's B as in Bravo, Z as in Zulu, at Coach BZ on Instagram. And then me at Jiu-Jitsu Mag. Coach Ben, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Good
Thanks.
one. Let's knuckles.
Muscle Farm.
Bam. Muscle Farm. HQ.